First time I had sex, I skipped school, and there was an older boy that lived around the corner from me, and me and a couple of my girlfriends went to his house, and we started drinking, and we all started playing around, and that was the first time I had sex. It was a pretty fun experience.
She was born October 9, 1970, at Hawthorne Memorial Hospital.
The future porn queen entered the world as Shannon Michelle Wilsey in the Los Angeles suburb of Hawthorne, California. Shannon's mother, Pamela, was a 17-year-old runaway and an unwed mother. Shannon's father, Michael Wilsey, was an 18-year-old postal clerk who doubted that Shannon was his child.
Once she was born, and his words were, "Oh, I wanted a boy," and he left.
When Shannon was 18 months old, her parents married, but divorced 3 months later. When Shannon was 2, Pam left California and settled in a suburb of Fort Worth, Texas. Pam found work at a grocery store and married fellow clerk Joe Longoria, who had 4 children by a previous marriage. While still a toddler, Shannon Wilsey was renamed Shannon Longoria. The child was told Joe Longoria was her father, although she was never formally adopted.
We would have had to go through Mike Wilsey in order to, at one point we tried to do that, but he was acting real weird about it.
The Longorias had 3 more children. Shannon seemed to be lost in the shuffle until she discovered that she could get noticed by performing.
I listened to a lot of music, and she did too, and danced all the time when the music was on.
By 1976, the Longorias moved to Haltom City, Texas, where Shannon enrolled in Watauga Elementary School. Teacher Sally Feldman.
In 4th grade, she was cute. I wouldn't have called her beautiful, but she was a cute little girl.
By age 11, Shannon learned that being cute could win her friends and attention. Teacher Jenna LaPlante.
She didn't push herself on anyone, but very well liked. She was, I would say that she was a popular girl in the 5th grade that year.
In the early 1980s, Shannon blossomed into a mature, self-confident adolescent. By age 12, Shannon began telling everyone she was destined to become a movie star. Friend Alicia Spradling.
We were going to graduate high school, tag up together, move to Hollywood, get an apartment together, and do it. We're going to become movie stars.
But at age 13, Shannon made a life-changing discovery. Watauga Middle School officials informed Shannon that she could not enroll using the last name Longoria.
They said that wasn't legal unless she was adopted. So we had to tell her that her legal name was Wilsey.
Shannon was stunned.
It would like topple your entire world to find out that somebody else was your father.
Almost overnight, Shannon Longoria, popular A student, became Shannon Wilsey, angry, rebellious teen.
She started hanging around a certain girl that got her to skip school, and then we caught her one time and we asked her, "Well, what were you doing over there in that field across from school?" And she said, "Smoking a marijuana."
But Shannon's rebelliousness was just beginning.
There was other times after that where she got caught climbing out the window at night.
In an effort to control her daughter, Pam sent 13-year-old Shannon back to Southern California to live with Mike Winnett, Shannon's uncle.
Pam called me from Texas. I lived in Mission Viejo at the time, and she told me that they were having some problems with Shannon, her attendance at school and her attitude towards her stepfather, and on, and they asked if it would be okay if she came and stayed with me and my grandparents, and if I would kind of be your legal guardian.
But Shannon proved too much for her uncle. Within months, the teenager was shipped back home to Texas. During the next 3 years, Shannon became a throwaway child. She bounced between a half-dozen different homes in Texas and California. At age 16, Shannon tried living with her birth father, Mike Wilsey, in Ventura, California.
I guess she wanted to get to know him and everything, but once she got there, she realized she wasn't the, what she thought she would be, the daddy's little girl. It was, he already had other kids, and she just didn't fit in, I guess.
In 1986, Wilsey sent Shannon back to her uncle's home. This time, Mike Winnett found his niece was no longer a child. Shannon had matured into a stunningly beautiful young woman, one who flaunted her looks.
I remember taking her walking through the Mission Viejo Mall, and I was just amazed by all the heads that were cranking left and right. And she said, "Uncle Mike, will you do me a favor and like walk 6 feet and go back to me, because some of these guys might think you're my boyfriend or something and they won't come up and talk to me."
Shannon's forward behavior hid an ugly secret. During those years of being passed from home to home, the young teen was allegedly molested sexually by someone close to her. In 1986, 15-year-old Shannon told her uncle about an incident she claimed happened years earlier.
She was, just came back from the pool, and he came home from work, and his spouse wasn't home, and Shannon had been dating some of the other boys in this apartment complex, and he figured, well, you know, she lives here, she doesn't pay any rent, she's going to pay one way or the other. And that's pretty much the way she interpreted it to me.
Shannon's mother, Pam, denied that her daughter was ever molested.
It's not true. I know it's not true.
The first time I saw erotic material, I was like snooping around in my parents' room or whatever, and they had magazines and things in there. And I liked looking at the magazines.
By 1986, 16-year-old Shannon Wilsey was obsessed with her face and figure. Shannon's uncle, Mike Winnett.
She would not leave the house or come out of the bathroom until she thought she was just, you know, tilts all the way. And I used to tell her, I go, you know, you shouldn't wear that makeup because it makes you look older than you are.
Shannon craved attention and soon found a way to get it. In 1986, the 16-year-old spotted a tour bus belonging to rock musician Greg Allman. Allman, then 40, was the eldest of the Allman Brothers, a 70s rock band. Allman's former drummer, Frankie Toller.
We pulled our bus into a hotel in San Juan Capistrano, and Shannon and a friend of hers, I don't recall who it was, pulled up to the bus and asked who we were and where we were playing, and we told her.
That night, Shannon arranged a meeting with Allman at the Coach House, a Southern California nightclub. Allman was infatuated with the beautiful teen. The next night, Shannon brought her uncle backstage.
Shannon introduced me to him, and we got alone for a second. I said to him, I go, do you know how old Shannon is? And he says, yeah, she's 16. And I said, how do you feel about that? And he told me that, you know, she was a fine little lady and he respected her, and he understood that she had some problems at home and all that, and he thought he might be able to help her out a little bit.
At the time, Greg Allman was still rebounding from 3 failed marriages, including one to Cher. Throughout the 1980s, Allman's private life was marred by his well-documented drug excesses. Before an Allman performance a few nights after their meeting, Mike Winnett saw the musician's excesses firsthand.
Greg whipped some stuff out and dumped it out and put a little pile for me and a pile for Shannon and a pile for himself. And I was like, well, you know, it's cocaine, it's not that bad, it's okay. And we all did some cocaine. It was a fun experience for me, but I look back at it now and I realize that I was not really helping her out that much, you know.
16-year-old Shannon Wilsey and 40-year-old Greg Allman quickly became inseparable. Between 1986 and 1988, Shannon traveled around the country with Allman.
They were a couple. I think Shannon lived at Greg's apartment when we came off the road. But I think he and Shannon were in love with each other.
He was calling her every night. You know, he talked to her for 2 or 3 hours on the phone, and I was like, wow, this guy must really care for her. And she was talking about, well, you know, he wants to marry me and da-da-da, do this and do this.
According to Shannon's mother, the relationship with Allman was about more than love.
She liked the fact that he bought her expensive things that we never could. I mean, he was famous. Maybe a father figure, I don't know.
He had some good connections. He'd been in the business a long time, and he told me personally that he was going to get her into the modeling business.
In a way, Allman made good on his promise. In the late 1980s, Shannon was given small background parts in 3 of Allman's music videos. In one, she even had a 2-word speaking part.
Everybody in the band really loves Shannon. You know, when you have 5 guys on a tour bus at, you know, 30 days out of a month, and you spend all that time, 24 hours a day together, and somebody comes in who's like an outsider, like somebody's friend, or and works out like Shannon did. I mean, everybody really loved her a lot.
Shannon stayed with her uncle between tours, but often received packages from Florida.
Second day after she'd been back, she was expecting a package. I saw her out in front, kind of pacing up and down, and I thought, what are you waiting for? And I assumed at that point that it was more jewelry or music or something like that. You know, this happened like 3 times. She'd get it and run into the bathroom.
Winnett was unconcerned until he discovered what the packages contained.
I'd kind of lost track of where she was that day, and I walked into the restroom, and there was Shannon in there with a spoon and a lighter and some tar heroin.
Band member Frankie Toller doubts that Allman introduced Shannon to heroin.
I think everybody has to decide for themselves what they're going to do in life, whether, you know, nobody twists your arm and says, hey, you got to do this or snort that, or I think you're pretty much on your own. But that, as far as Greg, no, I don't believe that.
Allman abruptly ended their 2-year affair when Shannon turned 18. Shannon returned to California and informed her family she was pregnant.
I guess she was kind of sickish, like morning sickness and stuff, so she left the tour to go back to my grandparents' house. It was right after my grandmother had died, and she had a miscarriage there.
After Shannon lost her lover, her pregnancy, and her brush with fame, the teenager tried to rebuild her broken life. Shannon moved back in with her father, Mike Wilsey, in Ventura, California. She took a job in a clothing boutique and began classes to finish high school. But the restless 19-year-old soon missed the spotlight she had experienced as Allman's girlfriend. Shannon found the attention she craved by showing off her body at the beach. Model Hillary Halbert.
I thought she was really pretty, and so I introduced myself to her, and I asked her if she had ever done any bikini contests, and she said that she would be interested in doing something like that.
In October 1989, Hillary and Shannon entered a bikini contest in Ventura. During the event, another contestant helped change Shannon's life. The rival was future porn star Raquel Darrian.
It was one where you dress in a dress and you go back up and you come back out in a bikini. And the whole time she kept sticking to me like, it's between me and you. I was like, okay. And my fiance was there along with a friend, Mickey Ray.
Mickey Ray was a centerfold photographer. When Ray spotted Shannon, he saw dollar signs.
I was always looking for new talent, and Raquel broke the ice and, you know, got her attention, and then I was able to talk to her. I thought she was really pretty, and she was kind of like, almost like I'd say clay, ready to be molded, but she was always, after I got to know her more, she probably had a lot more street smart than I did.
Raquel Darrian won the bikini contest that day. Darrian also witnessed Shannon's need to be recognized.
She came in 3rd place and was really pissed off about the girl who came in 2nd. She was upstairs in the dressing room saying, I am so much better than her, I can't believe she won over me, and blah, blah.
Shannon blamed her loss on her average figure. Days later, to boost her ego, Shannon posed for photographer Mickey Ray, topless.
She had no problem with it. She was very open about it. After we built up a trust and she could see that I wasn't like I was gonna, you know, be some maniac or something, we had a very good working relationship.
A few days later, Shannon moved in with Ray, sharing her body and her dreams with the photographer.
For some reason, I think she knew she was destined for something, and it had to be in Hollywood. She always wanted to be in Hollywood.
But Shannon also shared her bad habits with Ray. Shannon asked Ray if he knew where to get heroin. At the same time, she started to steal his prescription drugs.
She had no money, so she couldn't get the stuff that she wanted, and I'd come back, you know, home from taking care of some business, and she'd be laying on the bed with like the bottle empty, and I'm like, oh, she's gonna kill herself.
My first movie was boring. I was really kind of scared, you know, of the camera, but I learned to love the camera.
In 1989, 19-year-old Shannon Wilsey's first portfolio of cheesecake photos quickly caught the interest of Hollywood producers. Photographer Mickey Ray.
I knew a couple of B-rated producers and stuff like that, and I took her down, a guy that produced Porky's and stuff like that. He saw her, and he's just like, oh, I gotta have her, I gotta have her.
Shannon was immediately signed for some small roles in several low-budget movies. A casting agent provided the excited 19-year-old with an apartment in North Hollywood, and Ray helped Shannon resettle. Building manager Pebby Nolan took Shannon's snapshot the day she moved in.
She was a lovely girl, and she was here in our apartment 3. Not too long, but a beautiful girl, beautiful.
But Shannon soon learned she had to share the apartment with the agent.
She wasn't paying the rent. That's why I think she was staying with the gentleman. He paid the rent, and she was staying, and she would come in and out of that apartment.
Shannon endured her living arrangements as part of the price she had to pay. In the meantime, the aspiring actress began exploring Southern California's nightlife. The restless teenager started chasing rock stars again, using her looks as bait. Friend Hillary Halbert.
We would go to these concerts, we would just dress as sexy as we could, you know, and we would approach people that were working, like roadies or whoever, and say, please, you know, please give us these backstage passes, and they would, usually.
At a 1989 concert in Ventura, Shannon zeroed in on Billy Sheehan, bass player with the up-and-coming band Mr. Big.
So she took her underwear off and threw it up on stage, and it landed on his microphone. And it was there for the whole concert. And then afterwards, we got backstage, and they just really hit it off great. I mean, seemed like it was meant to be, really.
That night, Billy Sheehan fell in love with Shannon Wilsey.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was totally in love with a little girl. She had a lot of little kid in her, which was beautiful, which was just effervescent and enthusiastic, and she'd say things like a little kid on purpose to be cute, you know, and when she'd know she was doing it, and I'd know she was doing it, we just both thought it was hilarious.
Billy and Shannon began dating regularly. In the meantime, Shannon began filming her first movie in 1989. In Legal Tender, the fledgling actress was given a brief topless walk-on opposite lead actor Morton Downey Jr.
You, my dear one.
Later in 1989, Shannon landed her first speaking role in The Invisible Maniac, a low-budget slasher film.
I actually went to her on the set when she did the Invisible Maniac movie, and I knew a girl that worked on the set also. It was a friend of mine who was a makeup artist. And so we hung out there for a while, and obviously it was a legitimate movie with a crew and makeup and catering and lights and sound and, you know, production managers and all those things.
For Shannon, The Invisible Maniac, modest as it was the realization of her childhood dream. At 19, the throwaway child of a broken home was finally a mini movie star. When the film opened in 1990, Billy Sheehan escorted Shannon to the premiere.
She was definitely nervous. And the place was packed, too. They had a premiere on Hollywood Boulevard, and a lot of people were there. And she had a couple scenes where she had said something that was obviously kind of Valley Girl goofy, and the whole place roared.
What's your name?
Vicky.
Vicky. Do you know what the 4 basic principles of physics are?
Dairy,
meats, fruits and vegetables, and grain.
Now, those are the 4 food groups.
The audience laughed at Shannon's lines, but Shannon was mortified.
She was upset about it because she wasn't sure if they were laughing at her or with her.
The Invisible Maniac was a disappointment for Shannon. The actress felt her looks and body were being ridiculed. The experience made Shannon rethink her acting plans.
So I thought that was kind of a pivotal point at that juncture, because she was, in her mind, I guess she wasn't acting. She was being herself. They were laughing at her.
What little was left of Shannon's fragile self-image was shattered. She tried to get in touch with her former lover, Greg Allman.
She had sent Greg a letter with a picture of herself in the letter, and it was sent back to her by a woman. I'm not sure who it was, but it was another woman, and it said to stay away from Greg because he was getting clean and he didn't need people like Shannon in his life.
By the time her films were being shown in 1990, Shannon had little money remaining from her 2 acting roles. With no further work offered, the destitute actress moved in with Billy Sheehan. While Sheehan was away on tour, Shannon made a drastic decision. The actress told photographer Mickey Ray she was ready to pose for another modeling session, this time completely nude.
She started off in a bikini. We had like some palm tree kind of things, just some props, and it slowly works into totally nude and into legs open, and she was pretty much a natural for modeling.
Shannon never told Sheehan about her raw photos. Instead, she started acting secretively around him.
I wouldn't know anything of her outside life. There'd be no phone calls. There was really no contact with any of her other friends, and I had no idea that there was anything going on that was unseemly in any way.
Shannon began sneaking out with her other friends in Sheehan's new Corvette. Shannon was a dangerous driver.
She was just a wild, just no fear, or more like a lot of stupidity or something. I don't know. Instead, after having drinks and stuff like that, it was like just asking for it.
In June 1990, police stopped Shannon for driving the Corvette while intoxicated.
When we were pulled over, and they gave her the drunk driving test, and she didn't pass it. And she instantly became a little girl. And it was kind of like, you know, you're really gonna take me in? Very sweet and innocent. She could play that very well. And yes, of course, they arrested her, and she spent the night in jail.
Shannon was convicted of drunk driving and was placed on a 3-year probation. Shannon also kept the arrest from Sheehan. By this time, Shannon's furtive behavior started making Sheehan suspicious.
She had all this hidden secret stuff. There's so much guilt, so many things that weren't said, so many things that she did that she was hiding, that it just exploded eventually.
Weeks after her drunk driving arrest, Shannon totaled the Corvette. No one was hurt, but when Sheehan learned about the accident, he confronted Shannon.
I actually sat her down on the bed and kind of talked to her really straight and said, you know, what is it about, why won't you talk to me?
That night, Shannon told Billy about being molested as a child. Shannon said she was warned never to talk about what really happened.
So almost became part of her second nature to don't speak, don't talk, don't say anything about secrets, which manifests itself in her life. And her life then, therefore, from that moment on, I believe, had this duality to it, where some things you can't talk, you can't say.
Shannon's dark secrets were eating away at her life and soon destroyed Shannon's relationship with Billy Sheehan. Just 6 months after the couple split, Sheehan spotted his ex-girlfriend on the cover of an adult magazine performing a hardcore sex act.
Yeah, full-on fellatio, right on the cover, and I thought, wow, and that blew my mind.
I prefer men and women in movies. I mean, they're both a lot of fun to me. It's hard to choose one.
In 1990, Shannon Wilsey began occasionally earning a little money by posing for nude photos. But 19-year-old Shannon kept the full truth from her family.
she told me she was a model. And I said, well, you'd never take off your clothes or anything like, you know, like in Penthouse. And she goes, oh, no, no, no. But turns out that's what she was doing.
The idea of making a porn movie never crossed Shannon's mind until photographer Mickey Ray offered Shannon a starring role.
I was in the process of putting together 2 movies. One of them was going to be titled Raquel's Addiction, and the second one was going to be an all-girl movie called No Boys Allowed. She called up and wanted to do another layout. I said, I'm not shooting any layouts right now, but I am shooting a movie.
Nude photos were one thing, but having sex on film was a big jump for Shannon. Ray tried to ease Shannon's fears by promising both his movies would have a predominantly female cast.
She liked girls. I mean, so she felt more comfortable just doing girl stuff. So I said, I'll put you in a girl in one of the movies and a girl in the other one.
In mid-1990, Shannon agreed to begin filming Ray's quickie porn movies. Raquel's Addiction and No Boys Allowed paired Shannon with her former bikini contest rival, Raquel Darrian. Both films required Raquel and Shannon to have graphic sex. Shannon was scared.
That was very strange for me, just as much because I wasn't into women at all. I never even fantasized about them. So doing them in the movies and then working with her was kind of strange because I was more of the shy person, and now I had to be the aggressor because, you know, part of my money was in this movie and I wanted it to look good.
Nervous and unsure, Shannon arrived for filming 2 hours late. Before she could have sex on camera, Shannon suddenly demanded a heroin fix.
For her to say that, everybody was in complete shock. And, you know, of course, everyone's like, no way.
In place of heroin, Mickey Ray coaxed Shannon through her first sex scenes using doses of prescription drugs.
I had a prescription to Valium. So she goes, I need another V. I'm like, you're not going to be able to talk if I give you another V. So over the course of the day, I think she took probably 5 Vs.
Raquel's Addiction and No Boys Allowed were shot consecutively over a 2-day period. When the films were released in 1990, Shannon was given the screen credit Silver Cane, a reference to a heroin syringe.
The editor called her a fish when he edited. He goes, she didn't make any noise, she didn't move. I said, she's probably because she was all V'd out. You know, she just wanted a place to lay down.
Ray will not disclose what he paid Shannon for her first adult movies. A few days after filming ended, Shannon begged Ray for more work.
She wasn't like into being a hooker or that making, you know, using sex to make money. That's what she was about. She was more into fame and being popular or like you know, a star.
The star may have been tarnished, but Shannon didn't care. Neither did Perry Ross. Ross was a producer with video exclusives, a major player in the production and distribution of triple X-rated videos. Seeing gold in Shannon's platinum good looks, Ross offered Shannon a contract for 25 sex scenes at $250 each. Shannon's friends were stunned.
Everything I've heard about these people, especially Perry Ross, has been bad. I mean, I'd met him a couple times, and he was like, he came off as a big mobster, gangster kind of guy, but she signed with him anyway.
Shannon signed a 1-year contract with video exclusives in the fall of 1990. As a bonus, the studio bought Shannon a sports car and rented her an apartment near Hollywood. Shannon had one more perk written into her contract, cosmetic surgery. To make her body as sensuous as possible, Shannon had her breasts enlarged.
She got the new boobs, which they did look good. Whoever did them did a really good job. So she just was flawless.
With a stunning new look and a saucy attitude, Shannon was convinced one more bold move was needed, a flashy name. Recalling one of the few pleasant memories of her childhood, the film Savannah Smiles, about a courageous little girl, Shannon Wilsey became Savannah.
She just changed from the innocent Shannon that I met to Savannah. She just started her own new world.
Pam Longoria was among the last to learn of her daughter's new profession and new identity. Pam discovered the truth with a phone call to Savannah.
She sent like a big box of presents to me, and There was a note in there that said, if you still want anything to do with me, my number is. And of course, I called her immediately, and that's when I started finding out a lot of the details of what had been going on.
By late 1990, 20-year-old Savannah developed a close friendship with notorious producer Perry Ross. Ross supplied Savannah with the painkiller Percocet, friend Hillary Halbert.
Shannon would get her Percocets from her dentist, and she got her dentist through Perry Ross. Perry was nice to Shannon. They liked each other. They were friends.
Savannah was also in search of something deeper, a relationship with someone who wanted not only the porn star Savannah, but also the kid from Texas, Shannon Wilsey. Although her first on-camera encounter with a woman was scary, Savannah was sexually drawn to both men and women. When Savannah met porn superstar Gina Fine at a 1991 film convention, the attraction was instantaneous.
I think it was her smile and those eyes. I don't really remember how we began talking, and I've tried to play this back in my head, you know, 100 times. It's just like she was always there after that. We were together.
In an industry where sex is routine, but love is rare, Savannah found a sense of stability with Gina.
You know, it's girlfriends, and then some. It's watching movies late at night under the covers, sharing popcorn, and, you know, and cuddling and smooching. And I always, you know, say to men, all the things that you love about women are the same things that I love. You know, they're soft and sweet and smell good, and, you know, and plus we get to share clothes, you know. So it's the best of all worlds. But I also felt like her protector. Sometimes I felt like her mother.
In 1991, 20-year-old Savannah needed a protector. The actress who flirted with heroin as a teenager became dangerously dependent upon cocaine.
Shannon was doing a lot of cocaine, probably about a gram a day. She would wake up in the morning and eat like a can of potato soup, and then for the rest of the day she would use cocaine and not eat anything at all. I mean, maybe 3 bites at dinner time.
Off the movie set, Savannah's relationship with producer Perry Ross began to change. Ross and his friends began making sexual demands on the actress.
Once a week, they would come in a limo and pick her up, and she had to do certain things. She had to do favors, kind of thing. Is the way I understood it. She just got in the car and went for a ride. Once or twice she came back in and she had like tears in her eyes. It was like weird.
In the spring of 1991, Perry Ross was found dead while on a business trip in Europe. No charges were filed, but the peculiar circumstances of Ross's death surprised no one in porn.
He found him like with a lethal injection. He's tied up in a chair, a lethal injection of heroin stuck in his butt. He had a lot of enemies.
Savannah was shaken by Ross's death. She left video exclusives before her 1-year contract expired. Determined to become an adult film star, the actress set her sights on Vivid Video, an upscale Los Angeles producer of both softcore and hardcore porn.
Rehearsal and action. Okay.
With its glossy productions and bigger budgets, Vivid is known for creating XXX megastars.
When Savannah found out that Vivid was the company to be with, to be a Vivid girl was the top, you know, that became what she aspired to be.
In summer 1991, Savannah was hired by Vivid under a 1-year contract. Signing Savannah was not a difficult decision for studio president Stephen Hirsch.
She had a beautiful face. She had an angelic look and a beautiful body. And she had that something special that allowed her to connect. And people would look at her and just go, wow, I can't believe that this girl is doing adult movies. That's rare and something that we always look for.
Yes?
Hi, I'm Roxy Ryder. The temp agency sent me.
Yeah, come in.
Vivid was the major league of adult filmmaking. Savannah's initial contract paid her $4,000 plus royalties for each of 8 X-rated films. At Vivid, Savannah began working with name porn stars, including Randy Spears.
She was so beautiful. I remember the cameraman friend of mine, John Durham, he said, Randy, the closer I get to her with my lens, and he said I could be this close to her, she's even more beautiful. And she really was. And if you could get her smiling and her face would light up, boy, it was really neat. She was special.
This morning I awakened with a profound sense of excitement and fear. Excitement because I want to tell you of a dream I had last night.
But Vivid director Paul Thomas had reservations about Savannah from day one.
When you choose to do X-rated films, you need to have a decent sense of self-esteem about yourself. If you don't, society is going to be putting you down and you're not going to have any defense mechanisms. So it's a significant decision when someone decides to do X-rated films, and they should think of what they're going to have to deal with.
She wanted to make a lot of money, but she also wanted to be famous. She wanted people to stop and look at her on the street and recognize her and say, hey, that's Savannah. That was important to her.
I like a well-built man all over that knows how to use that knows how to use everything that he has to the best of his ability.
By mid-1991, Savannah's contract with Vivid Video made the 20-year-old actress feel like a real movie star for the first time.
Tommy, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm here where I belong.
Savannah leased a sprawling home in the Hollywood Hills and filled her closets with designer clothes. She also became more dependent on one of Hollywood's favorite vices, friend and lover, Gina Fine.
You know, cocaine, candy. Candy, little girls and candy. And she always had Coke, always had Coke.
Savannah and Gina remained one of porn's most unique couples, but Savannah also longed for a traditional romance that might lead to marriage. Together, Gina and Savannah began hitting the Hollywood party scene. Friend Hillary Halbert.
Shannon called me one night and invited me over to a party, and she said that Billy Idol would be there. So I got very excited, of course, and when I showed up, about half the people at the party were naked.
In Hollywood, rock stars and porn stars often play together, but rarely produce stable relationships. Rolling Stone writer Peter Wilkinson.
You're talking about two communities that share certain qualities. There's a certain rebelliousness, a certain uninhibited character. And in a sense, I think porn actresses could be considered exalted groupies. And from the rock star perspective, I think there's probably a certain aspect of conquering. And if you're not a porn girl, that's validates you as a sexual soldier in some way.
In summer 1991, Savannah thought she found a rock star who wanted more than a conquest. Romance blossomed after Gina Fine unselfishly arranged a date for Savannah with Motley Crue frontman Vince Neil.
She was beautiful. I mean, I loved everything about her. She was, she was gorgeous, great and bad. There's like nothing she wouldn't try or do.
I told him several times, don't hurt her, don't tell her that you want to have a relationship with her if you don't mean it, because she doesn't need to hear that. Then I would hear from her that he said, let's start looking for houses, pick out any house you want, and, Gina can have her own room.
In August, Neil took Savannah to Hawaii. Then he gave her some bad news.
I think that she thought that we were boyfriend and girlfriend, but I was going through a divorce at the time, and I think she maybe thought it was a little more serious than it really was, but we were more like parting buddies.
Neil dumped Savannah without even a goodbye. The pattern of rejection that marred Savannah's life had once again resurfaced.
She was heartbroken for a while, and picked herself up very quickly and moved on.
In September 1991, Savannah moved on to comic actor Pauly Shore, son of Mitzi Shore, owner of LA's famous Comedy Store. Pauly and Savannah became one of Hollywood's most devoted, if not oddest, couples.
Where did we meet? At Club Wheeze.
Pauly spoke about Savannah in this 1994 interview.
She was just different. She was unique, and my mom saw that. My mom, you know, running a comedy store, she sees, you know, and she wanted her to do stand-up.
He was the first one to ever introduce Shannon to family, and she just basked in it. She loved his mom, and he was a really good influence on her.
But Savannah's romance with Pauly produced unexpected results.
She started becoming comfortable with being Shannon, you know. She also started to become uncomfortable being Savannah at that point.
But not uncomfortable enough to leave the business.
She was just so caught up in the whole Savannah thing, and being this starlet thing, and that was one thing that I didn't dig, you know. I mean, couldn't deal with the fact that she was doing the, you know, porno films and stuff.
In 1992, Shore ended the romance, and Savannah once again found herself without a male love relationship. She was too scared and too insecure to give up the life of a porn star.
You know, if I drop everything and become Mrs. You, what happens if you don't want me anymore? You know, do I just live off your bank account? You know, who am I if I just become Mrs. You? And maybe that's, you know, maybe it was just very scary for her to suddenly realize that she would have to give up her identity.
Instead, Savannah sought comfort by using more and more cocaine.
She'd snort the cocaine, you know, but she was having a lot of nosebleeds. And so funny, her reaction to it was very, like it was just not very serious, you know. It was kind of like, haha, another nosebleed, you know. So anyway, but then if she would get a nosebleed, she would continue to use the cocaine by putting it in a glass of water and drinking it.
From Las Vegas, Nevada, America's sexiest city, it's the 9th annual Adult Video News Awards.
In January 1992, Savannah was a nominee for Best New Starlet at the Adult Video News Awards, the top honors of porn.
She didn't expect to win. I mean, part of her, you know, she really wanted to win.
And the winner is, I don't know, let's let him sweat a little while. What you think?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And the winner is Savannah!
It was a golden moment for the 21-year-old actress, and a night that her drug abuse became painfully obvious.
Oh, aren't you happy for me? I'd like to thank Adult Video News and Paul Fishbein, all the critics who voted for me, and all of you who didn't. I love you all. And if you don't love me, I'm sorry.
Fans did love Savannah, despite her escalating drug problems. The actress became porn's biggest star in 1992. Savannah's name alone guaranteed XXX hits.
She was the most popular girl that we had under contract. We were certainly guaranteed that her sales would be higher than any other girl that we had under contract at that time. And that was something that was exciting to us, and it worked out well.
Savannah celebrated her popularity by buying herself a gift, a sporty Corvette convertible like the one she crashed 2 years earlier.
That was her dream, was to have that white Corvette convertible.
1992 began as a year of renewal for Savannah. With her industry award and a new Corvette, Savannah was brimming with confidence. In spring of 1992, the actress took one more stab at romance with one more rock star, this time with Guns N' Roses guitarist Slash.
Hi, sweetie, it's Slash, and I just got back from
rehearsal, and it went really great.
Rolling Stone writer Peter Wilkinson.
Savannah told friends that he treated her in a sweet way, and that he treated her in a way that she hadn't been treated before. She seemed to be in love.
But on April 3rd, 1992, 21-year-old Savannah treated Slash in a way that shocked fans. The incident happened at New York's Scrap Bar, a celebrity hangout. Savannah was smashed. Bar owner Steve Trimboli.
I turn around, and right in the middle of the bar, I mean, there's a whole bunch of horrified faces. Right in the middle of the bar, she's down on him. His pants are down to his knees. And then she gets up, and I watch her go up the stairs, and she collapses at the top of the stairs.
Within a week, Savannah's incident at the Scrap Bar hit the pages of People magazine. Angry and embarrassed, Slash denied the incident ever happened, then married his former girlfriend.
That was it for Savannah. And she told a friend that she was not going to talk about it for years. She was so hurt.
Savannah coped with the loss in the only way she knew, with drugs. This time, she went back to using heroin.
When she started again, it was a recreational thing. She was just doing it, you know, on weekends or whatever. And it scared the hell out of me.
Savannah's deepest insecurities surfaced when she returned to heroin. She became sullen, angry, and vindictive.
What's going on here?
It's time for me to move on.
When Savannah turned against her only remaining friend, Gina Fine, Gina knew their love affair was over. In the summer of 1992, Gina said goodbye and walked away.
I think when someone really did love her, she would believe that that was love, you know? I don't think she knew what love was. I don't know if she was ever supposed to know.
Both my parents know that I'm in the business, and my mom thinks it's great because I make so much money, and my dad thinks, you know, both of them have a good attitude about it. They both support me in whatever I do.
By 1992, 21-year-old Savannah was the most popular star in X-rated films. Her movies outsold all others for her studio Vivid Video, and her fame reached beyond porn. In 1992, author-photographer Ian Gittler began a book about Savannah and her colleagues.
Every few years, a porn actress comes along who raises the visibility of the entire industry outside of itself. And Savannah was definitely that person. And I think that everyone in the industry knew it.
What the industry may not have known was that Savannah was a long-time drug addict. Actress Raquel Darrian.
I noticed her doing the drugs, or hearing about her doing the drugs, and they got worse and worse and more and more.
Drugs cost Savannah friends and lovers. In 1992, drugs began affecting her acting career. Vivid Video president Stephen Hirsch.
There were times where she was fine and she was happy, but when she was difficult, she could be very difficult.
I often saw the spoiled Hollywood brat that she could be. And she certainly made my life difficult several times on film sets where I had to cater to her in order to get the picture done, and she was ridiculous in her demands.
Those demands included having her favorite makeup artist, wine in her dressing room, and even approval of actors she would perform with. Savannah's orders had to be obeyed.
She would be very abrupt and very short, and could be unbelievably inconsiderate, loud, and rude in her inconsiderateness.
In 1992, Savannah played the title role in the fairy tale takeoff, Cinderella.
I'm coming, stepmommy. What did you say? I'm sorry, stepmommy dearest. That's better.
On the first day of filming, the star staggered in drunk.
She showed up about 4 or 5 hours late, and so of course everybody was thrilled she finally showed up, but you know, Shannon did or Savannah did whatever she wanted, got away with it. But she's, you know, sold movies, so everybody put up with her.
Actor Randy Spears co-starred with Savannah in the Cinderella sequel, Stepsister. Spears felt the actress was struggling with inner conflict.
She was kind of hard on the exterior and not real easy to deal with, but she was hiding a lot of insecurities and a lot of problems underneath that, and that was her way of burying some of the pain.
Well, if I didn't know any better, I'd have thought it was Cinderella. Cinderella, I believe you have windows to finish washing. Yes, Mommy dearest.
21-year-old Savannah was clearly at a crossroads.
Savannah had seen just how big a porn star can be. And I think that when she was there, she realized this is it, this is what it is, and I don't think it was satisfying for her. And it didn't erase whatever emotional baggage she had been carrying with her up until that point.
Director Nancy Parra was one of the few at Vivid Video who befriended Savannah. Parra took the star under her wing, acting as Savannah's manager and mother figure. Beneath Savannah's hard-as-nails exterior, Parra saw a little girl in pain.
She liked fame. She liked attention. She liked being someone. She liked adoration from fans. She liked, I don't think she ever knew what love really was. I don't think she had a grasp on being loved, how it felt to be loved, and I think she wanted so desperately for everyone to love her.
In July of 1992, Savannah returned home to rural Texas. Savannah became Shannon Wilsey again during the visit. The actress brought presents and told her brother Jeremy that her life was wonderful.
It always put a smile on her face to see one of us smile, you know, because she was giving us something, you know. And she seemed very happy. I mean, she seemed to me that like she was, I mean, everything was great, you know.
I'm just a good sister.
Savannah's happiness was an act. During the week with her family, Savannah ran out of heroin.
She was like sick, you know, vomiting and stuff, and that's the time when she was going through withdrawals, but I thought she had the flu or something, or that's what she was telling me. I didn't know it was because she had run out of drugs.
On July 11th, 1992, Savannah arrived in New York for a publicity tour. She was in agony. Savannah begged Nancy Parra to buy her a heroin fix.
I never scored heroin for anyone. I hate needles. You know, you know, I'm shocked. I'm going, I can't do that. And she kept saying, well, then I'm going to go. And I kept looking at this pitiful little girl on the bed, writhing in pain. I didn't know what to do, so I finally agreed.
That Christmas, Savannah made her last trip home. The actress was 20 pounds overweight and bouncing between heroin and cocaine. By this time, Savannah's relationship with co-workers at Vivid Video was in deep trouble.
It's getting impossible to work with her. She would just be late and absent and irresponsible to the point that, you know, didn't make sense anymore. Wasn't worth the dollars and cents and the pain and trouble it took.
Studio president Stephen Hirsch decided it was time to cut his losses.
It was in '93, and I gave her a call, and I told her that I didn't think things were working out for either of us, and that we needed to sever the ties, and we needed to go on, and so did she, and we wished her all the best and told her that she was free to work with whoever she'd like.
Savannah was stunned. She had become a throwaway in an industry that had made her a queen.
She had IRS problems. She had a big home up in the Hollywood Hills. She bought artwork. She, you know, and I mean, she lived a Hollywood starlet's lifestyle on a porno star's budget.
To make matters worse, Savannah had a $200 a day heroin habit. In March of 1993, a judge in Ventura issued a warrant for Savannah's arrest. She had never reported to her probation officer after her 1990 drunk driving conviction.
She was very uncertain about what the future was going to be, as a lot of us are in this business. You know, what do you do after porn? And she said to me, Randy, I want to
get one thing out of this business, if I get anything, and that's to set my mom up in a house, no bills, you know, and it never happened, unfortunately.
Desperate for work, Savannah attempted a comeback in the spring of 1993. The 22-year-old actress made a series of cheap sex videos for her former employer, Video Exclusives. Determined to save her career, Savannah had her breasts enlarged a second time to double D. And after a week-long struggle, the actress finally kicked heroin in 1993, but replaced the drug with cocaine, pills, and alcohol.
Savannah was drinking sake bombers, and she actually opened up her vest to show me her new breast job. And it was a new breast job. And that to me was a sign that her career was definitely in decline.
In June 1993, Savannah began filming her most shocking porn movie ever, Star Bangers 1, for producer John T-Bone.
I came up with this idea of taking the world-famous Ice Queen and putting her into the most intense pornographic situation that any star would go into, that was so removed from anything she'd ever done or what anybody would conceive she would ever do, that it would stand the industry on its ear. I got lucky.
This is what I'm going to be doing.
In Star Bangers 1, Savannah was paid $9,000 to have sex with 8 men at once. For someone who had become a near legend in the adult film industry, Star Bangers was a desperate act by a desperate woman.
Yes, it was pretty bizarre. One, she could use the money, and John paid her price. That was the main thing that her concern was, is if they'll pay my price, I'll do it.
Star Bangers 1 briefly revived Savannah's fame, but Savannah was damaged goods. Her phone stopped ringing, and the hottest number in porn was suddenly a has-been at age 22. Without any new roles, the fallen angel became deeply despondent. By the end of 1993, Savannah frantically sought to exit a dead-end road. She told her friends to once again call her Shannon.
Although she didn't articulate it particularly well, I think that she knew that this life in porn was a bust, and pretty close to the end of her life, I think she may have been looking for some kind of a way out.
Well, when I'm not doing movies, I go on the road and dance and do parties and things like that.
In 1994, Savannah found herself trapped in a vicious cycle. The 23-year-old actress made cheap porn films to earn money to buy cocaine, but her drug habit interfered with her acting. To pay her bills, Savannah turned to nude dancing. In early 1994, the actress, who only 2 years earlier had been the biggest star in adult films, became a specialty act on the striptease circuit. Savannah earned top dollar, but had to fuel her act with cocaine, which she called dance medicine. Writer Peter Wilkinson.
I think that gave her a sense of power. She could feel in charge as a dancer. Because you have these guys, you know, sort of salivating at the stage and tossing $1 and $5 bills at you. And she would really get into it. And she, at the end of some of these shows, her knees would be sort of bruised and bloody.
In April 1994, Savannah claimed a stalker was following her. The ex-star filed a police report stating someone had broken into her Hollywood Hills home. When no one was arrested, Savannah bought a watchdog and a large handgun. Friend Nancy Para.
She got the gun, and she used to sleep with it under her pillow every night. But she didn't have a clue as to the reality of a gun. She treated it like it was a water pistol. She'd wave it around. She would point it at people. She would come to my apartment and put her purse on the floor, and it would fall out of her purse.
In May 1994, Savannah's need for drugs took precedent over her need for money. She turned down a lucrative booking in Canada so she wouldn't have to cross the border without her drugs.
What she opted for was not to go if she couldn't take her drugs with her. She opted for, I'll stay here, thank you. And so she didn't go. So after that, because of that incident, I know she lost a lot of jobs.
In early June 1994, Savannah was fired by a Florida nightclub for starting a brawl. In mid-June, a Las Vegas club let her go for skipping a performance. Each incident cost Savannah dearly.
She didn't have any money. She was writing checks to get her dog out of the kennel. She didn't have money to take the rental car back. She was just devastated because financially she always lived dance gig to dance gig. You know, she was up against the wall.
In desperation, Savannah threatened to sue her former employer, Vivid Video, for money she claimed was owed her. The threat was ignored. In June, Savannah became hysterical when her cat disappeared and telephoned Para. On top of everything else, Savannah received a letter from the IRS stating she owed thousands in unpaid taxes. Panic-stricken, Savannah begged Vivid Video to take her back.
It was obvious that her life had changed. She was no longer making the best movies for Vivid Video. She was no longer dancing on a weekly basis. People were hesitant to work with her, and I think that had taken a toll on her. She did want to come back and work with us again, and we talked about that. Unfortunately, it never happened.
Nothing seemed to click, and Savannah's desperation deepened. Looking for a way to deal with her pain, Savannah called her mother.
She did tell me she wanted out of the industry, but she couldn't. Nobody would accept her into regular TV because she'd been a porn star. She said, sometimes I wish I could just blow my brains out.
In June 1994, with her life crashing down around her, Savannah made a frantic plea for help.
Her friend had given her a phone number for aid, which I guess it's pretty common now, but I'd never heard of them. A psychologist or psychiatrist you call every day and you can talk to them on the phone. That's your therapy session.
During those phone therapy sessions, Savannah recalled a haunting childhood memory. Her mother, Pam, doubted that the story was true, but the details were disturbingly similar to the account she had given years before to her uncle Mike Winnett and to her boyfriend Billy Sheehan.
She told me about someone close to her when she was a little child, putting her on a bean bag and dressing up in women's clothing and molesting her sexually. And that was very traumatic to her. I think it definitely affected, you know, everything about her life after that.
The drugs that ravaged Savannah's body caused wild mood swings. On the afternoon of July 10th, 1994, Savannah visited Para's home. Savannah's depression had lifted. She seemed happy and excited.
I remember waving to her as she was going down the stairs, and I noticed she had a bottle of wine in her hand, which I hadn't even paid any attention to prior to that. And I said, be careful now, you know, don't get caught drinking and driving. And, you know, no, you're not too drunk to drive, be careful. So she, oh, Mom, stop it, you know, and she waved her hand at me, poof, poof, me, and danced on down the stairs. And she was supposed to be leaving the next day for New York to go dancing.
That night, Savannah and a friend, Jason Swing, hopped into her white Corvette and hit the LA bar scene. Tragedy was just hours away.
We had a couple drinks at night, but she was fully just hauling ass back home. It seemed like she was in a rush to get home. And the whole way on the freeway, I'm telling her, slow down.
Savannah had no intention of slowing down. As she sped up the roads that snake through the Hollywood Hills, she hit a curve at high speed and suddenly lost control of the car.
And then she just plowed right into a fence and a tree. And the car was smoking, and it was a horrible wreck.
Swing somehow escaped injury, but Savannah was not so lucky. Badly cut, she managed to steer the Corvette up the winding road to her home. Inside, Savannah rushed to the mirror.
She had a little cut on her nose, and her nose was bleeding. She had like a bump, you know, it was bleeding as well. And she was very upset, crying, I mean, really bad. And she was continuously saying, like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I have this photo shoot in New York in a couple days.
In her 23 years, Savannah had endured the loss of all that was dear to her. Her flawless, angelic face was all she had left. Horrified, she telephoned Para.
Yes, Savannah. There's got the major car accident, and I think my head. But my car is complete. And I need you to come over here. I need to go to the hospital.
She was hysterical, you know, she was very upset. And I could hear her going, oh, you know, like it was depressing her. And I was saying, oh, honey, don't worry. We'll figure out something. It's okay. Let me get up there and it'll all work out. It'll be okay.
Savannah was inconsolable. She hung up the phone and sent Swing to inspect the damage to the fence she'd hit. Swing returned a few minutes later, and what he found made his blood run cold.
I hear like a little crying in the garage. And I open the garage, she's laying on the floor with like her legs spread with a 9mm gun between her legs and just looking at her car.
Now Swing was in full-scale panic. He tried to gather his thoughts and calm down his friend.
I said, well, don't do anything stupid. And I was referring as, you know, her holding the gun. And I got up because I was leaning down talking to her.
But Savannah only stared ahead blankly. Swing knew he needed to get help at once.
Right before I was like, you know, walking out the door, I hear pop. And I just turned over my shoulder and just seen her whole body just drop to the ground. And I think to myself, oh my God, that did not just happen.
Minutes later, Para walked in. She will never forget the horrifying scene.
There was all this blood, this big pool of blood. And I lost it. I got hysterical, and I went over to her and I grabbed her foot and I said, Shannon, stay with us. And I said, Shannon, because I wanted to go deep. I wanted her to hear me. She didn't. The wound looked like this big flower on the side of her head.
Moments after the shot was fired, Savannah's friends Jason Swing and Nancy Para placed a frantic call for help. When police and paramedics arrived, they found a gruesome scene.
In the garage was a puddle of blood right near the garage door entry from the house into the garage. There was a through-and-through hole, not only in Miss Wilsey's head, but it continued on into some boxes and I believe struck the wall, which are right behind the boxes.
Savannah was rushed away by ambulance, still clinging to life.
They were able to sustain her till they got her to the hospital in Burbank.
Savannah was immediately placed on life support while friends and family hurried to the hospital. For 9 agonizing hours, they huddled at her bedside. But when doctors concluded there was no hope, Savannah's father, Mike Wilsey, granted permission to pull the plug. At 11:20 a.m., July 11th, 1994, Savannah, 23-year-old Shannon Wilsey, died.
I heard on the radio, porn star Savannah, and at first it was disbelief, you know how that is. I was like, what? And they said it again, and I started to cry because I really, I felt badly. She had such a lot of life left.
It's a very sad thing to happen, you know. I know there's a few people that have committed suicide in this business. It's very sad, you know, or in, you know, anything in life, but I think this business is sort of open for people who are kind of maybe at a loss already.
I couldn't believe it. I was very, very shocked.
In the days following the tragedy, a coroner's toxicology analysis reported that the actress had been drinking and using cocaine the night of her car wreck. The report stated that financial troubles and prior molestation complaints contributed to Shannon's suicide. Los Angeles police concluded that Shannon's many problems led to her death.
Miss Wilsey had a lot of problems in her past. There were complaints of prior molestation. There were problems with the IRS in regards to back taxes that were owed on those movies that she'd made. And now those, coupled with this accident, which she believed ruined her looks and was going to really mess up her dancing engagements throughout the country, I believe all of these, in conjunction with the fact she'd been drinking that night, led her to commit suicide.
In the aftermath of Shannon's death, some people accused the entire porn industry of contributing to her suicide.
Shannon should be remembered as a perfect example of what not to do.
she walked into exactly the trap that has been set for so many before her. She came kind of starry-eyed, maybe a little bit of shenanigans going on, but she went right into she got right involved with the wrong people, you know. She did everything wrong.
Hopefully someone that's thinking of doing this as, you know, as a job, doing these movies, will see that it's not good. I mean, you start doing the movies, you have to start doing something to dull the pain.
Executives in the competitive world of adult film had a different view.
She was a very unhappy person, from what I understand, at the end. And this was her best way out of it. I think she felt that she was losing it all. She was losing her career. She was getting older, and she felt that this was the best way that she could handle it.
A year after Shannon's suicide, her mother, Pam Longoria, filed a wrongful death lawsuit against rock musician Greg Allman. The lawsuit accused Allman of contributing to Shannon's death by allegedly luring her into drugs when she was only 16. Pam later dropped the lawsuit on the advice of her attorney. Shannon's mother recalls the loss of her daughter with sadness.
Well, I'd like her to be remembered as the sweet little girl that I raised, that was such a good sister to her brothers and sister. But past that, I guess you'll have to be remembered as a great X-rated star, because she was well known. I mean, she was well liked, whether we like it or not.
Shannon Wilsey searched all her short life for love and acceptance. She found only rejection and despair. In the end, the little girl from Texas, who became the woman known as Savannah, never really had a chance to like either one.
She depended so much on her youth and her beauty to get her everything in life, and that people only loved her because she was young and beautiful. So I think that if she started to grow old, she wouldn't have. I really think that she would have stopped the process of time. And she did. She got to do that. She's young and beautiful forever now.